hot flash, crew is hot, always doing you right. With a fresh take on gaming weekly, PCs, consoles, and handhelds. Bump what you heard since birth on this earth. We know that the future belongs to the nerds. Revolver Live. What you say? Revolver Live every Sunday at 6, bringing that gaming magic to your life. Doing it live on Twitch to show that you don't want to miss. Be sure to subscribe. Crack yourself a brew. If at work or Yahoo, now you can join the crew for the ride. Xbox, mobile, and hot topics around the nation. To gaming rigs, headsets, hardware, and PlayStation. Shout out to Joe. Can't you see him glow? Token brother brought the flow. Now it's time for the show. Let's go.
We're live.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to Revolver Live, the gaming podcast. This is Forget the Past. The future belongs to the nerds. I'm the Beastly Gamer. Today I'm joined by my friends, co-hosts, cohorts, and co-conspirators. The king of all things Destiny, Briar Rabbit. How you feeling today, buddy?
I'm feeling awesome, man. How you doing?
I'm a
little bit tired. I'm lying. I'm a little tired.
Oh, man, I've been sick all weekend, sick as a dog, and I'm in here now doing Revolver Live. What's going on, Wilson? How you feeling today, my friend?
Doing good, man. Doing good. I hope you feel better soon. You said you weren't feeling good all weekend.
I think this is the pill that I needed. You know, unfortunately, I got to take it rectally, but I think I'll be okay. How you feeling today, Gary Diaz?
Feeling good. To be fair, they've just released a Galgun game on VR. So I've been snapping Japanese schoolgirls' panties. To be fair, my right arm is killing me, but I'm here and I'm ready to go.
Wow.
Carpal tunnel from snapping them panties.
Jesus Christ.
It was funny, but also uncomfortable all at the same time.
I was talking about clicking the mouse. I was clicking the mouse. Jesus Christ, you guys are filthy.
Is that what they call it nowadays, Gary? Revolver Live is a gaming podcast with 6 revolving topics. Become a part of the show by submitting your topics for consideration at revolvergamescast@gmail.com. That's revolvergamescast@gmail.com. We go live every Sunday at 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern at twitch.tv/Briar Rabbit. That's twitch.tv/Briar Rabbit. The video is also shared on YouTube at Briar Rabbit's YouTube page and my page, Beastly Gamer. If you can't catch the live feed or the video format, check us out in podcast form on Podbean, iTunes, or your favorite podcast service provider. And with that said, welcome to Revolver Live Episode 4. Let's go. What's going on, fellas?
And I don't know about you guys, but I've been having a pretty good week gaming-wise. And we'll get into that later. But we also got some feedback from last week's episode that I definitely would like to go over. Gary, we got a few emails that you wanted to talk about, right?
We did. We've been overwhelmed. It's like, you know, never rains but it pours. People have been loving to send us shit. No nudes. We have waited week upon week. Still none. You guys just keep sending us shit about games like we care,
depressing.
but you know, it's here. So let's read it out and again, just emphasize the nudes. First one of the week is actually from a guy, Clifton Gibbons, signing off Cliftone. So thanks for hitting up. He had some comments on the audio and I guess integration of Apple in the audio. So kind of a blend of two topics. And he runs quite a detailed setup here that he goes into at length. But the thing that he wanted to talk about is where his Apple integration comes into play. So he uses an Apple TV, an iPad Mini 2, a MacBook Pro, and an iPhone 6 Plus. Has them all connected up and synchronized. So to him, the Apple ecosystem is what sells it. It's not necessarily the individual power or capability of each platform. So I guess, are you drinking from that Kool-Aid too, Brian?
You know, I've talked about it in the past. It's actually, it's a feature while you're using it, but if you want to get away from it, it's troubling because all of a sudden I'm like, okay, all my addresses are in there, all my music's in there, all my preferences are in there. All my work is in there. Like there's so many ways that it's all integrated together into iCloud or into the Apple ecosystem that to try and then extract yourself out of there can actually be quite difficult. Right now, I'm working very diligently to learn, non-Apple programs for what I do on YouTube, and it's been very, very difficult for me to the point where I'm like rethinking it.
Oh, wow.
Change like that is really hard when you get used to a set way of doing something in a set program. It's really hard to make that change. I mean, I use something really basic, Windows Movie Maker, and I even tried to jump on PS4 and use the editing software on that. And it took me like 20 minutes just to figure out how to like chop up a clip. And I'm like, man, I could have been halfway done with my video on Windows Movie Maker by now. So it's tough, man, making that change.
Like everything I want to do in Premiere, I have to go onto the internet and say, okay, how do I lead volume into a clip so it doesn't just start off max volume, it like leads in. It takes me 10 minutes to learn that, whereas it's like literally a 3-second operation for me in Final Cut Pro. And that's not to say that, you know, they're doing it wrong on Windows. It's just to say that I have to relearn everything. You know, if I want to, even iTunes, you know, if I want all my music to come into iTunes or be on my PC, it's like, well, do I want to run iTunes on my PC? Probably not, because that sucks. It's hard, you know. They've trapped you, for me.
Well, when I was using Final Cut, I found it to be extremely easy. When I was messing around my brother's his MacBook, and it was incredible. It was fast, intuitive, and everything you needed seemed to be right there. Yeah. So I didn't have to do much Googling anything. But Sony Vegas on my PC, it's much more complicated. I've probably over the last 4 years spent 10 hours, you know, learning different techniques to use, and that learning process can be, you know, stressful. Trying to do things in a different way. But once you learn it, Briar, it becomes second nature. It's like now, even though this is, to me, still leaps behind the offerings on Apple products, it's become something that's so useful to me, and I know it so well now. So once you learn it, like if you keep working with Premiere, it'll come a point where you won't even have to worry about Apple anymore. You'll just be so used to doing it. You know how to get exactly what you want out of a project. But I mean, coming from, you know, Final Cut to anything else is going to be, you know, kind of a smack in the face with a brick, because Final Cut is so easy to use and it's so fast, and it seems like you lose so much by going from Final Cut to going to another editing software. But once you figure it out, it'll become second nature. You won't, because I mean, unless, like we said last week, unless Apple does something different with their hardware in the future, there's really no other recourse. You got to learn this new stuff.
Right.
So, second bit of feedback we've got came from friend of the show, Super Dan, who has hit us up with a bit of, I guess, suggestion for a topic, but more of a broad thing for listeners and ourselves. Talking about classic vintage games and couch co-op. So looking at the SNES and Sega gaming era, and looking at the, you know, that toaster that you've got behind you, basically, you keep pointing to and triggering us all. Looking at the SNES
did you say
mini
poster
console.
or toaster? Because I'm just drawn to the poster.
Yeah, man. Can we, before we go into this here, can we just say, for people who aren't watching this, for people who are listening, BC's got a fucking full-size picture of himself behind himself. What sort of narcissistic arsehole has a picture of himself behind themselves?
You know who else had a poster of themselves? Did you guys ever see the King of Kong, that Billy Mitchell guy?
Yeah.
That guy had a poster of himself.
Well, I mean, to keep it fair, Gary, I also have a life-size replica of my penis in my bedroom. That's why my kids can't go in there. My wife spends so much time in there. You know, just looking at
sense. I mean, it's a very small wall behind your bed, so it kind of makes sense to fit.
Anatomically correct.
You got to fit the art to the size of the wall, right? Like, you don't want to have it.
It's the canvas.
Yeah, my ceiling in my bedroom just slants down. A tiny wall in the corner over there.
It's all good. It's all good. So, Super Dan talks about the advent of couch co-op and thinks that he'd love to play those games again, but he just doesn't have people that can all congregate around a couch to do it. So if they, I guess if these games are reintroduced into the current gamers ecosystem, do you think they need an online ecosystem to be popular again? So you can, like, all four of us could get together and play one of those old vintage games online?
I think so. I think that would not only make a huge selling point for him, but it would make me want to go back and play a lot of these old games. Like if we could do Turtles in Time on Super Nintendo, 4-player, you know, dibs on Donatello. I'm just
Michelangelo all day.
All right, back off, Donatello. But if we could all do that online, like that's really cool. Like they released it was a handful of years ago, but it was like Double Dragon Neon, and it was just like a redid Double Dragon where you could online co-op with a friend, and it's awesome. And I totally understand that, like, you know, I have the want to play these games too, but you don't always have somebody to play those games with. And SNES 9X, an old popular Super Nintendo emulator, used to have that function on it, where you could actually connect to the internet with other people who are wanting to play the same game as you, and that shit got shut down quick.
Yeah.
So
they also did the
same
thing. They did the same thing with Final Fight as well, Wilson. Double Dragon Neon and Final Fight were kind of similar vein of arcade games. And of course, they came to the Nintendo and Super Nintendo. But when they released the newer versions on 7th generation consoles, they had this ability. You could still feel like you're doing couch co-op playing with people around the world. And that's really a huge draw, especially for people closer to our age who grew up with couch co-op. You guys know how special that feeling is. It's something that I miss tremendously because all my friends are all gone and we've lost a lot of that connection. A lot of us don't have time anymore. But that couch co-op was something really special. In the 90s and the 2000s for gamers.
Yeah, I don't know that it's worth developing for though anymore. I don't have a broad swath of sample size, but my kids, they play online. They don't invite their friends over to play video games. It's just not something that happens anymore. The online world has really kind of taken that couch co-op and just made it available to everybody all the time, except you're not, you can't just reach over and punch your buddy in the shoulder anymore. So games do get developed that have couch co-op. I just don't know if it's worth it for the developers to do it anymore.
You can always DDoS your buddies. That's kind of the equivalent of a punch across the sofa, isn't it?
Yeah.
Unplug the controller. That's the old school DDoS, man. You just yank that thing out, man. Or you give them the shitty controller too. Remember, you don't go to a friend's house and he'd want to play, and he'd give you the shitty controller, and you're at a clear disadvantage.
Blockbuster branded controller.
Fucking Mad Cats or whatever the hell it was. Get it out of here. Get it out of here. But as far as developing for newer games with couch co-op, but if they were to say on the Nintendo market where they have these old games or whatever, if they could somehow implement it with the old games, I think that would be massive because there is a huge retro gaming community that is, probably one of the most passionate communities I've ever seen. These guys go out on their way to work, they see a garage sale, they stop, they pick up old games. And I feel that they meet a lot of friends at conventions. There's a lot of different retro video gaming conventions where these people go around and meet friends. And I think it would be awesome if they had a way to play some of their favorite games, even if you had to purchase it again through Nintendo. You know what I mean?
Talking about
on the
online,
marketplace. Yeah. If they could do it online, not necessarily couch to couch, but if you could somehow get these games linked up online.
It'd be a virtual console add-on type of thing, and Nintendo has been very slow to address grievances that consumers have had with the way that they've focused or approached online infrastructure in their gaming. They were late to the ball. They were very, very slow when it came to innovating their online infrastructure. And most of the games we're talking about here, let's be honest, we're talking about Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis era games. And a majority of those are Super Nintendo games. And I just don't see, unless Nintendo were to implement something like this for the Virtual Console for the Switch, it probably won't happen. But the good thing is there has been developers who still allow that to happen. This is one of the steel books we talked about last week. Resident Evil 5, this game allowed it. And that was one of the best games I want to say I played in 2011 and 2012, me and my wife. We sat there side by side and went through it. It's just a special kind of experience when you don't have to get online and you can just play with somebody. I think it's a great thing, and I'd love to see it come back. But more than likely, if we read the tea leaves or look at the past as any indication of the future, Nintendo is going to be kind of apprehensive about doing anything like that.
Agreed. I think nothing beats playing with someone on a couch. The next bit of feedback comes from Lord Pradith, who talks about the grinding games, which is something we spoke around last week, and why do we like the grind and what is the grind. And he said that he noticed that the grind is slowly evaporating from games. Games just don't have the grind anymore. Feels like gamers' tastes just aren't tolerant for that level of grind. Talks about World of Warcraft as an example, so this man's immediately given me a hard-on. Talks about how the dungeons used to be tough, but now they're just cakewalks, breeze through, which I completely agree, and he's on the money. Now they feel more of a chore that you're trying to get through rather than a tactical, task that you're trying to overcome. He said that, does game difficulty need to return for games to feel grindy? If a game's really simplistic and easy, does the grind just feel monotonous and something you don't want to do if there's no challenge to it?
Absolutely. That's an option I think that needs to be in every game. And it goes beyond just, making an enemy have, more sponges for bullets. I think AI is a huge part of that. But difficulty is something that I don't think anyone should have like a free pass in any video game to just walk through it easily, unless you go into the options menu and go down to the snowflake section. I think that just, I guess, the regular settings of a game should be moderately difficult. I like a game that gives me a little bit of difficulty rather than just walking through and experiencing it like a film. You know what I mean? And I think every game should have that option. And nowadays, you got to beat a game to unlock like a super hard mode or something like that. I think that should be available from the beginning.
For sure. Next one's a really quick question from Mr. Jazz Gaming. Briar, don't feel in any way obliged from your sponsorships to recommend one product over the other. Wants to know what sort of USB microphones in the $100 to $300 range we could recommend as new content creators that are looking to really improve their audio. I think he was moved by our topic on audio last week. He's heard good things about the Blue Yeti and Razer Siren, but would love our advice.
Razer Siren is a Blue Yeti with different branding. It's the same headphone, same microphone. The Blue Yetis are great. The Snowballs are also great. Is it ours? No, Audio Technica, I think is a step up from there. Those are very good as well. If you can get into the $300 range, you can start getting into XLR microphones that can sound really good and offer a lot of customization as well. So you're not just kind of stuck with how this microphone sounds because all this circuitry is exactly the same. You can really start customizing it and stuff. So once you start spending around $300, you start getting more options. But you can also use software to customize your sound. Either if it's recorded, you can modify the sound after the recording, or you can, even with something like Adobe Audition, you can give yourself like a radio voice live. So it's actually processing the sound live.
Audacity is really awesome for post-processing. Like if you want to record something and
free.
You want to yeah, it's really good.
It is very good.
I'm going to hold a revolver to your head and force you like a politician to answer the man's question, goddammit. He wants a recommendation. He doesn't want a buffet. Give him one.
You want a recommendation, but he gave me too wide a price range to work within. If he's going to spend $100, I would absolutely recommend the Blue Yeti. If he's going to spend $300, I really look at what I got. I went with the Shure SM7B, and I really like that microphone. Or, God, what's it called? There's another one that's really popular. I think it's more, though. I think it's $500, so never mind.
Okay, so there you have it. Shure SM7B or Blue Yeti if you're flossing or if you're on a pauper's budget. I like it. There's one more, but I'm going to save that till the end of the show because I think it's something that's good to close with. So it's a little sneaky one at the end. He introduced us as Revolverados, which sold me immediately. But
oh, that's sick.
Nice. Well, I got some feedback over here from Discord. So hopping into that from Grays81 says, as far as Apple products, I have a hard time, especially in Canada, justifying the price for their products when I can get a machine in PC terms that is more powerful and cheaper. So definitely agrees. That was kind of the point that we had driven home last week, that, you know, obviously for gaming, you want a PC, not a Mac. So
yeah, I mean, there's no justifying buying a Mac for gaming. Not right now, anyway. My guess is that actually Apple wants to make a push into gaming soon. The way things are like kind of leading in, NVIDIA released drivers for Mac OS. The new Macs that are coming out, I think in December, actually have like real graphics cards in them. You know, they got a new Mac Pro coming out next year. My guess is that actually there's nothing about the Mac OS that means it can't run games. It's just that, you know, the driver optimization isn't there. The graphics cards aren't there. So, like, you know, they could do something about that. But hardware is definitely more expensive, but it also runs Mac OS and Final Cut Pro, and you know, like you know, there's a trade-off there. Often it's not that much more expensive either.
That's kind of the point that Grays had also made. He said, I've also found iOS to be very restrictive in usage and openness. When I bought an iPad, I didn't feel like I could personalize it the way I could an Android device, which I think, Briar, you had made that point, that it wasn't, Android devices were more easier to personalize versus an Apple product. Mr. Goodbites says, loved being it open, but aside from that, it was a horrible experience with Android. So that's kind of the opposite end of the spectrum. And then Dirty Socks Music says, first off, keep up the great work, guys. We appreciate that. On the subject of collector's editions, I have to have anything collectors or tangible items of the games that I love or I'm hyped about. He also then goes on to state that he's never been an Apple fan and has always had Windows, PC, and Android. And he feels like Gary makes a lot of sense about Apple, but it could just be his voice that makes him think that he makes good points.
It is the voice.
Absolutely, it is.
Absolutely.
If you write down what Gary says, you'll find out that it's all bullshit.
If you read it back with your own thought, or have someone like one of your friends read it, you just realize he's full of shit.
Is this guy high? Like, I swear to God, he's just drunk all the time.
Well, we still love him, nonetheless.
No comment.
That's going to do it for Discord feedback. So,
thank you guys for sending the feedback. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, we do appreciate it.
Talking about being high all the time, Hellblade, man, that was
my God.
Fucking trip. That was
Did you beat that game, Gary, already?
Hellblade is, we'll get into what there is. Briar's beaten it, I'm very close to, but Hellblade is like if Aloy from Horizon Zero Dawn ate some bad shrooms when she was foraging and ended up in some fucking trip. My God, the game is something else. What did you think, bro?
There's a few games that I've played in my life that I felt were perspective shifts. Like they changed the way I look at games, and they changed the way I even look at like normal life. And this is one of those things. It's one of those games that I walked away saying, like, I have a newfound respect for people with these challenges in life. Like it's living. So the game, let me just set up the game a little bit, is you play as Senua. She's a Celtic warrior who has lost everything, and she's literally going to try and get a god to res her lover, right? To bring her lover back to life. And she's gone off the deep end, right? She's hearing voices, she's seeing things that aren't there. Like, it's just like she's fallen down this road of mental illness. So the game, to simulate this, is it puts you in her shoes in a lot of ways. You hear these voices in your head, and they're telling you conflicting things. Like, if you're walking down a bridge, the voices are saying, turn back, you're going to die, turn back. And a lot of times there's 3-4 voices all doing this at the same time. And they're constant. They're going pretty much the entire game. Visual things in the game will start to change based on how close you are to danger and how, like in what kind of stressful situation Senua is in. The game is like a third-person action adventure game, like on the surface, and for what it is, it's fine. I'd put it on the level of like, I don't know, like a short version of like a Uncharted game, I guess. It's not. What I mean by that is I come to Uncharted for the story, not necessarily for the action or the any of the gameplay. Yeah. So this game has gameplay. There's sword fighting, and it's okay sword fighting. It's fun. It's not it's not super deep. It's not super in depth, but it's fun. There's puzzles. They're not super deep puzzles, but they're kind of fun. They play with the environment a little bit in some cool ways. But what really sells this game is kind of learning about this girl's mental illness and then feeling like you have a better understanding of mental illness when you're actually done with the game, which I think is amazing.
I can't think of another game that's done that has taken a play on mental illness in, how do I say it, like not done it in a mocking fashion, you know what I mean? Like it actually made it a part of the story and made you feel for this person, and it was considerate about the whole thing, like for the most part. Like, I haven't got to play it. I only saw what Briar streamed. I'm like, Gary, how'd you put it, Gary? She got a hold of some bad shrooms. There are no bad shrooms. There's either too much shrooms or not enough. So it It was super intense. It was very trippy, and I gotta say, as far as gameplay went, it had almost, from what I saw, like a bit of a Dark Souls combat style to it, a little bit. Like there was a lot of. I noticed you really had to depend on your dodge.
Yeah,
like you really had to depend on enemies
it's
telegraphing.
not nearly
their
as
move to
difficult
you.
as something like Dark Souls, though.
Right. No, I'm just saying as way the combat kind of works, not difficulty wise, but just the mechanics. Like you had to read your enemies, and like they would be telegraphing that they were going to be doing like an overhead swing and stuff like that. And the combat looked really smooth.
I got a quick question. The question I've had about this game, because it's been in development for a few years, and I'm happy it's out. It's not a full price game. I saw that.
Yeah.
Is this game in any way tied to the old PlayStation game Heavenly Sword?
No, just same developers.
Right.
It seemed like, I mean, I played Heavenly Sword, thought it was amazing. It seemed like it's in the same world.
No.
Okay.
No, it's
Unlikely. No.
it's a unique title. I can see that. You know, it's a female protagonist. Other than that, I guess I actually can't see it.
I like how you looked around with it. Okay. Well, would you recommend me pick? Now, I told you guys pre-show that the man, the myth, Joe, my brother, sent me a text today and told me this game is one I need to pick up.
Yeah.
Would you recommend this game, Brian?
For $30, I mean, it's not the longest game in the world. I think I finished it in somewhere between 6 and 8 hours. But I was streaming, so you know, there's like extra time in there.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say it's going to take around 6 hours to beat, and for $30, that's not a lot of time. But it's a game that I'm going to look back on in the same vein as I look back on in BioShock and say, I wish I could go back and play that for the first time again.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay. So this did everything right that the Order 1886 didn't do. Gotcha.
What's that? I don't get the comparison to Order 1886.
The Order 1886 was a full price game that lasted 6 hours, and it was shitty all around, other than the fact that the game looked amazing.
Oh, yeah, this game looks amazing too.
Okay.
Gary, you had a chance to jump in and play it, didn't you?
I did, yeah. There's actually, from a gameplay perspective wise, I really liked it. It kind of played to me more like a puzzle game more than an action game. And I see where you're going with Uncharted, but to me it felt more like a Professor Layton or a Broken Sword kind of game. So if you're into that style game, but I was put off immediately by the horror aspect of it. I don't like horror games, and I found it very unsettling. Certainly some of the earlier trials, some of the earlier enemies that you face are a little bit more terrifying. The game then, the pace slows, and then it builds up to some slightly more horrifying parts towards the tail end of the game. So there is a very strong horror vibe to it, which will be off-putting to some people. But the puzzle elements, if you do like puzzle games, they're very strong in it, somewhat repetitive. But the way, as Briar said, the way that the levels are, the level itself is the puzzle, and the way that you approach and view the level is the puzzle, and the challenges of viewing it from an unstable state of mind can add to it. There's actually, I've read up a bit around it, because some of the early elements of the game, you'll look at a level and you'll think there's absolutely no way to go, this is a dead end, I can't move in it. You'll walk away, come back, and the way will be clear ahead, and you won't have activated anything. This isn't a clever thing that you've got to do a switch or anything else. The developers put in a couple of roadblocks that when you revisit will be gone, and it's to kind of trick your mind into thinking, was that there? Is that something that's gone? Is it something that's my mind gone, or is the character's mind gone? Where's it going? And yeah, some aspects of the game that I found that were really, really unsettling, and also really compelling. If I transition up from what the game is to what the game represents, it's part of a genre that Ninja Theory are trying to rekindle, which is the AA genre, which has kind of gone from gaming in our modern era. So you've got indies and you've got AAAs. Yep. And there's a gulf between them. You know, the indie is typically things like Stardew Valley or Hollow Knight, or, you know, a 2D side scroller, or something that's very, very low budget. Sometimes a hit, but not got a lot of investment in it. And then your AAAs are things like Assassin's Creed and COD, which are annual franchises, huge amounts of money behind them. They'll sell no matter what. They've got the graphics, they've got the look. So what Ninja Theory were trying to do was create something that had the presentation quality and the chops of a AAA game, but with the independent studio creativity, and maybe not the length of and the depth of content, as Briar was saying, that you get in a AAA title, but also not carrying the same price tag, which is something you've seen with Lawbreakers as well this week. So what do you guys think about it representing the resurgence of the AA game?
To me, it's really exciting. It fills in that gap that a lot of people have been longing for. No one wants a game that doesn't feel like a complete package, a complete experience at a full price. So I think that especially with this game and Lawbreakers coming out within the last 7 days, one at $30 and one at $40, I mean, this is a huge deal for me. I mean, games like Friday the 13th also did this. So it appears to be something that's becoming more prevalent. And I, for one, am really excited about the prospect of seeing more games in this vein. Even though this game, when I see it, it looks like a AAA experience. The fact that it's a little bit shorter.
It feels like one, Beasley. It feels like one.
It's the fact that it's a shorter experience, I think, is what Gary is referring to as the AA experience. It's not as long, and I guess the replay value isn't quite as strong as some of the other offerings out there. Does it have a multiplayer mode or online mode at all?
No.
Okay, so that's
comes with
exactly
a documentary
what it is.
about the making of it.
Oh, sweet.
Well, I look at it this way. I mean, you said it's 6 to 8 hours for $30. I mean, dude, I could easily drop more than $30 going to the movie theaters for 2 hours. You know what I mean? And being family men, I'm sure you guys are like $30. Man, I wish I could only spend that much going to the movie theater. You know, like you guys are probably $30 in by the time you got your tickets and before you even get snacks and stuff. So I think the AA games can fill a void that's there. I mean, I don't know if I'd necessarily call like PUBG a AA game, but it's kind of in like Lawbreakers in a sense that it's cheap and like you can pretty much only do multiplayer and there is a lot of replayability there. But I feel like this is kind of like the different end of the spectrum of AAA games where like the single player aspect of not as much replayability. I still think it's really worth it though, in my opinion. Like these kind of games are perfect for the video game lull that I'm in right now. We're all waiting for Destiny 2. And I feel like these games fill that void perfectly. And if they could take a look at what's coming out and what people are waiting for and fit these games in between, I think they'll sell really well.
Yeah. I mean, this game, if they charge $60 for it, it'd be harder for me to have bought it initially, but having played it, I'd say $60, no problem. Like it blew my mind. This game blew my mind, man. It was literally, I will never look at, mental illness the same way again for the rest of my life, having, played this game. It changed the way I look at mental illness.
My God.
It changed the way I interact with human beings.
That is a hell of a statement, man.
That's powerful.
I'm going to buy this game as soon as we get done with Revolver tonight. That is something else I've never heard. Shut up, Gary.
Or PS4. I'm just asking.
Listen, okay?
I'm
Let me explain something
concerned
to you.
about you.
You don't need to be concerned. I'm surrounded by all my consoles, and I feel right at fucking home. I'm buying it on the PlayStation 4. I'm buying on the Ps4 Pro.
There's
because
issues
I'm not good with
the
the mouse and keyboard.
The base console has significant issues with frame rate at the moment and frame pacing, as well as resolution scaling. The PS4 Pro, unfortunately, has even worse issues in that they've not capped the frame rate at 30. So, unfortunately, its frame rate varies between 25 and 50, up and down, which causes massive.
Or is it 1080p?
Just stop it, Gary. Just stop it.
It's dynamic scaling, which drops as low as 900p and as high as 1300p. So it scales from 900 to 1300. But the frame pacing.
Let me explain to you what Gary is. Gary is that guy who knew your wife before she married you, and every time you kiss her, he tells you about the shit she used to do with the other guys. Leave my fucking wife alone. I fucking love her, okay? And there's lots of people in these comment sections that love their fucking wives. Leave them alone.
And she used to love dressing up. That's all I'm saying.
Ouch. Needs more teraflops, man. We need these teraflops.
I'm concerned. Frame pacing is a real problem. It looks like you're playing a slideshow. I've heard big problems with it.
Well, with all these frame rates and stuff, and that like we've been complaining about recently, do you think it's a good time to build a gaming PC and take the next step?
Man, it's a tough time to be pulling that trigger, isn't it? I mean, Intel. What's the date of the eclipse this month? Is it the 19th? The solar eclipse?
Oh, 21st.
21st. Mm-hmm. So Intel is going to announce their successor to the 7700K, their i7. The best the best gaming processor you can get right now for just pure top of the line gaming performance is the Intel i7 7700K. Costs about $350, you can, maybe $330, and Intel is going to replace it or announce the next generation, the Coffee Lake generation of CPUs this month. So it's kind of a rough time to be spending top dollar on a 7700K when like the next ones are coming out like very, very soon. That doesn't mean they're gonna release this month, but they're announcing them this month, and it's gonna be a 6-core processor instead of a 4-core, which is interesting because if they can maintain their instructions per clock and their core speed, that's gonna be a very good processor. Also, AMD is releasing their new Vega graphics cards, which seem to have the power of NVIDIA 1080, but are going to be cheaper. NVIDIA has brand new graphics cards like out with their new Volta architecture that are like right on the horizon. We had the editor-in-chief from PC Gamer on the podcast or on DCP last month, and he tweeted us to say those are coming out this year. So that's like a whole another architecture jump. So that's like going from like the 900 series to the 10 series, right? So it's an interesting time because if you jump in right now, chances are in a month or two you're going to be like, damn, if I had waited a month, like I'd have this new hot shit.
Yeah.
And then your resale value is going to plummet as well. I
told Gary that in a private message, you know how we talk on Twitter. We were just talking privately, and I mentioned to him that I plan on doing my PC upgrade around the beginning of the year. And I'm thinking now with this information revealed by the Briar Rabbit himself, that's probably the best time to do it. Because I want to be up to date. I don't want to be left behind anymore. You know, I've got good friends. Yeah.
PC, the issue that we've got here, and we should make clear this is our second topic for the week, which is it a good time to build a gaming PC? The thing about gaming PCs, you are always going to be within 6 to 9 months a generation behind, or at least a flagship product behind what is current top of the line. That's just the nature of the beast. What you have to do is look at your requirements, look at your hardware, and make a decision, is my hardware suitable for the requirement that I need it for? So we're talking about 6-core i7s. We're talking about the new generation of GPU. The games aren't going to change. You're not going to see, it's not like consoles where when you've got a PS3 to PS4, suddenly the game fidelity jumps up. No, the games will be a consistent slow curve. You know, there's not a hockey stick effect. Gotcha. You'll be playing Destiny 2 in October on PCs. If there's a new i7 that can do it, if there's an i8, whatever, that can do it, it's not going to make any difference. It's the same game. If you've got 144 frames at the resolution you want, it's irrelevant what hardware you're on. So
it's not irrelevant though, because the relevancy is that for the same cost of hardware, you could possibly be getting a significant jump in either frames or resolution, or even sometimes in the settings themselves. You instead of playing at high settings, you could be playing at ultra, or instead of playing medium settings at 1440, you could be playing ultra settings at 1440, or be playing at 144 hertz instead of, or 144 frames per second instead of 100, based on the same amount of money spent. But the cost is months of just not playing.
Yeah.
Gary's right. There always is going to be something on the edge. It just seems like there's a lot of really cool stuff on the edge right now.
I mean, I had a pretty interesting analogy here that this is how I justify my PC spend myself. And with the graphics cards, I like to update my graphics card every 12 months as an absolute maximum. So I'll sit with a graphics card for 12 months. The way I see it is you're renting a graphics card. So if you're comfortable to trade in your card, you've got an initial deposit, which is your buy-in on your first ever card. So let's take the 1080 Ti as your card. If you bought that release, that was what, $750, I think, American? So $750 was your deposit. You can sell that when the 11 series or 20 series comes out, and you'll probably get $500 for it, maybe. I'd imagine someone would probably give you $450, $500. So your rental cost of playing with that card for the year was $250. That was what that card cost you for the year, because $250 is going to be the top up that you're going to need to spend to get the next card that comes out, because you're going to take your 500 that you sold, your next 250, and you're going to buy whatever the 20 series is for $750. So you only really pay once unless you intend to hold on to that hardware, because this hardware doesn't drop off the side of a cliff. You know, when the new one comes out, you're probably still going to get 75% of what you paid for it back.
And that 1080 Ti, there's no one forcing you to sell it after a year. You could game on it successfully for many years.
Yeah.
You know, that 1080 Ti is a damn powerful card, and it's not going to be obsoleted. You're still going to be playing games on high settings 2 to 3 years from now on it. You know, you might start in 2 to 3 years. That's when you'll start saying, okay, maybe it's time to upgrade, but maybe not. You know, I don't know. It's interesting that there's just so much new stuff coming out, but you know, like I got a new PC on its way right now. I'm upgrading the PC I got right now. Like I literally put a new water cooler in the PC I got because the games I want to play are out right now on PC, and I want to be playing them. So if it was me, I'd probably, you know, the other thing is if you're buying a low-end PC right now, it's really hard because the cryptocurrency thing is still happening, and the low-end graphics cards are just skyrocketing in prices. You're paying $500 for a card that should cost $250, you know, and that's a real bummer. But I mean, if you're a huge Destiny fan, I'd probably wait until right before it comes out for PC to buy, just see if the landscape has changed. But man, there's so many games out for PC too that you'll be happy with what you have, I'm sure.
I agree. I think I'd hold off, man. By the time this new stuff comes out, like Gary said, people that only like to invest in their stuff for about a year will have some pretty good deals on their old equipment. I mean, that's pretty much what I did with my buddy. And I say his old computer, it was less than a year old. He was ready for the new thing. And some people just like to be on that cutting edge. But Gary, I think you nailed it, dude. It's like you throw down a deposit the first time, and like you said, it was like $250 for an entire year. You know, it's less than $1 a day if you're going to be at your computer a lot. And I think you nailed it with that analogy, dude, to be honest. Like,
that's how I justify it. It's a rental cost, you know, because that $250 that I've spent out is my enjoyment opportunity cost. You know, that is, I could have spent that somewhere else, but I've spent that having the best graphics card on the market over the year. And that's all the money that I've lost. So I'm going to have to drop that extra $250 to top up my deposit or my residual, whatever I make from the sale of the card. And then I'll always have the best card on the market. It's painful the first time you do it. I do appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it ain't cheap. Top-end graphics cards are not cheap.
Yeah. It helps to sell your old one a lot. Like, definitely helps take the sting away from how much you're paying for one. So.
Yeah. Buying used is not a bad way to go either.
Yeah.
It's really not.
You get a significant discount that way.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the used market is like actually in the States, but in the UK, we have such a good second-hand electronics infrastructure, and not just talking Craigslist here. We've got the equivalent, something called Gumtree, which is like, you know, peer-to-peer, very much like Craigslist, but a lot less kind of likely to be stabbed and robbed. It's more of an, you know, legitimized Craigslist.
Yeah. Tell me more.
We've got like, I keep plugging the store, so I'm going to plug them again. It's spelt CEX but pronounced sex. It's a computer exchange is kind of what they've gone with. But you can take like any hardware, games, audio, any sort of equipment you've got, cameras, I mean, pretty much anything. And these guys will give you like a trade-in price, a cash price, or like a pawnbroker, but like a legitimized one. But these have got like nationwide stores. They give you a 2-year guarantee on anything that you buy. So if you buy old shit and it breaks, you just pedal it back in there. And these guys will be, you know, 25% less than the store on every single product. And you can trade your old shit in to get in-store credit against it. So 9 times out of 10, you get stuff for almost nothing. You know, there's like a negligible cost to upgrading your gear. So in the UK, definitely, or Europe, because they're bigger than the UK, our second-hand hardware market is like vibrant for anything in that space. I don't know if you guys have something like that in the States.
No, it's really Craigslist and eBay. Pawn
Yep,
shops.
shot or stabbed. Pick one.
Yeah.
Shot. I'll take.
It's like the Wild West on Craigslist, man. You're ducking bullets and.
See, our chat
Somebody
here
hit me
is,
in the head with a fidget spinner the other day. It was fucking awful.
No, those things hurt.
See, our chat is also proponents of it. Yeah, CEX or SEX, they're a great thing. I mean, the fact you guys don't have it over there is a real shame, because that, you know, if you just say I want a 1080 Ti and I happen to have, I don't know, a 980 Ti sitting around, I can take that in. They'll give me like £300, which is like, I don't know, $370 towards the cost of the new card, and they might have the card there for $600 rather than $750. So I get a 2-year warranty on a card. I pay $300 for it. It's great, and it's a legitimate transaction with a store. It's not some sweaty guy with like
we don't have
man
that.
seed all over it in Craigslist. You know.
I wish
how's
we
that
had something
return
like
policy though? How is that warranty? Have you had to cash in on a warranty yet for something?
I have, yeah. I bought a hard drive. I bought a 3 terabyte hard drive for $50 equivalent, maybe. Put it in, the thing just click. When it went in, took it straight back in the store. They swapped it for another hard drive, or they gave me the money back if they didn't have it in stock. Very, you know, I feel like I'm sponsoring them here, and I feel terrible telling you because you guys don't have that infrastructure over there. But yeah, in Europe, we're sorted for it. You know, it's great.
Called sex.
Sex.
CEX.
We have sex here.
Well, I agree with Badger. Sex is
I'm just
great.
married, so I don't ever get any. What's the next topic?
eSports.
eSports.
Is it a real sport, or is it just a way of legitimizing being professionally lazy? What do we think?
Well, to me, if you can call NASCAR a real sport, then esports can be a real sport. You know, I just
NASCAR is a goddamn white man's sport.
it's a fucking sport, okay? And
You need to sit on a trailer with a lawn chair and just wait for people to crash and die. That's the sport.
all you do is
It's
turn
not so
left,
much about
man.
the drivers.
Turn left. It's
America,
considered
baby.
a sport, and I think that, you know, esports is something similar. All sports are just entertainment. You know, people want to see it. People enjoy seeing the competition, and I think esports is. I mean, look how much the world has changed in the last 30 years. We all enjoy gaming. We enjoy seeing people be competitive at games, and I think that, you know, it's a very entertaining thing for people to watch. And so I think a majority of people in the world now would consider esports or electronic gaming a sport in its own right. I would much rather watch a person play Destiny than watch NASCAR, and that's a sport. I mean, that's just me being real, honestly.
It's about you and NASCAR, man. We've lost all of
I'm
our
using
NASCAR
another
fans.
example of what is considered a sport. Just a guy sitting in a car turning left for a few hours. That's a fucking sport. So if that's a sport, I think video games can be a sport as well. And it's more
sports
enjoyable
are like
to watch.
art, though. It's in the eye of the beholder. Like, what is your definition of a sport? If your definition of a sport requires like physical activity, then of course some of this stuff isn't going to appeal to you. But if you're like Beastly in sports or entertainment, you know what I mean? Obviously anything could be a sport at that point. So like, I probably should have saved that point for last, but I think it's more of an eye of the beholder thing, man.
Well,
Like,
if you
to be
think
totally
about it like
honest.
that, Wilson, the sports that people aren't entertained by are the ones that no one talks about. Unfortunately, there isn't a fucking tetherball league. There should be, but nobody cares about tetherball, so it's not something that people talk about or watch. But other sports, football, basketball, baseball, hockey, they enjoy watching it and partaking in seeing it, and it's a huge thing.
A lot of
it's
it
the same
is
thing-
right. It's like if I have experience, if I grew up playing football, I'll probably watch a lot more football on TV because I have a strong connection to the game. If I grew up playing Call of Duty, then I'm going to watch some Call of Duty because I have a strong appreciation for the high level that these guys are playing it at, right? It's like some of it is just like what you're interested in, what you know, and like what you can appreciate. Can you appreciate the skill on display? Like if you've never played golf and you watch golf on TV, the first comment is going to be like, why are these guys in the funny pants just chasing that ball around this open field? Well, if you've tried to play golf, you get a whole different understanding of what you're watching. Same with baseball. Baseball is arguably not that athletic, especially like 30 years ago before, the roids got involved. I mean, these guys had beer guts. You look at old baseball cards, they literally had beer guts. You hear
Bowling?
stories.
Babe Ruth, man.
Yeah, so but baseball, if you've played baseball and you understand how hard it is to actually hit that ball, and then you understand that at the high level of the mental game that the pitcher and the batter are playing at any point in time, then you can watch a baseball game that has no score to it and be absolutely enthralled because you just see this like constant battle of the pitcher and the batter. So it doesn't have to be like this high athletic venture. It has to be, does this interest me? Do I see the high level of play that's being displayed here? And can I appreciate that?
I guess you kind of lost me at baseball there. From my, just like, what the hell is this? Is that a sport? It always gets me that baseball, you guys have like world champions. Like, is it really a world champion or is it a domestic champion? Like, who else plays baseball? Anyone?
It's worldwide because nobody's stepped up to take it yet.
Yeah, the world is invited to come and play.
Yeah, we're playing baseball in our backyard. You guys could come over and compete. Nobody does, so we win by default.
Right. Yeah. Invited Japanese guys, they've been like dodging us for years now. The Cubans know. The Cubans are coming over. The Dominicans are coming over.
Baseball too, man.
But from what I understand about spectator numbers in baseball at the moment, the Americans aren't even showing up. So, I mean, from an esports perspective, though, do you think it's just because there's not an organised league? And that's something that I wanted to touch on. So you mentioned no experience and perspective being a thing. Like I've watched curling in the fucking Winter Olympics, which is some guy sweeping a weight. Like I've never played curling. I've never seen anyone play curling, but I watched it. Rhythmic gymnastics, right, where there's a chick throwing a baton in the air and catching it. Again, no perspective. I watched it. Maybe more for the outfits actually than the sport, but still, I watched it. You know, all of these things. There's a legacy and there's an infrastructure and there's fucking equestrian sports where they dance a horse around an arena. Like I've watched that for like an hour when it's on. But
you must have been stoned as shit.
Look, I live a very boring life. Okay, that to me is entertaining.
Weed makes everything interesting.
But I mean, in esports, you've got things like MLG, LoL esports, ESL, Game Battles. All of these different leagues are trying to compete, and you've got teams like SK Gaming and fucking Prodigy and whatever else they're called, and Dignitas, and all of these teams. They've got a revolving cast of
that's
pros,
one of the things that sucks the most, I think.
Yeah, and there's no I can't say I'm collecting esports baseball cards, let's call it that. Then there's no infrastructure. There's nothing to watch on TV. There's nothing to support, and there's so many different leagues that one world champion might only be the world champion in such a small jurisdiction. There's 7 world champions for League of Legends. Which one's the real world champion? Do you think we need to have ESPN come in and say we're going to take over esports for it to become a legitimate thing?
I think at some point it does have to grow, but the nice thing about having all the competing leagues is that if one league isn't given the players and the teams a square deal, then you just leave that league, right? And there's 6 other leagues that will spit you up. The problem that you run into is if you have like one dominant market, let's say it becomes MLG, and that's like the only place that you can play competitive gaming, and they say, okay, we're gonna set up contracts this way. If you're gonna play in MLG, you have to abide by all these rules. You can't curse in public. You've got to wear these outfits. You got to wear a suit when you're in public. You can no longer live stream. You can no longer make YouTube videos. What do you do? You're trapped because MLG owns the whole business. So,
this is the only sport that does that. So if I want to be a professional soccer player, I'm subscribed to FIFA. If I want to follow, I want to play basketball, it's the NBA, NFL for football. That exists in every other sport except gaming. So why should gaming be exempt?
Because
it's so new.
Yeah, it just hasn't developed to that point yet.
People are still trying to wrap their mind around it that you can be successful with doing it. When our entire life growing up, we've been told if you keep playing video games, you're going to fuck your life up.
FIFA, the NFL, MLB, these are old organizations, right? That have been around for a long time, and they control their players to the point where a lot of those players are very unhappy. I'm sure if you're like the top of the top, cream of the cream, you're swimming in money and swimming in, the adoration of whatever league you're playing in. But if you're one of those guys grinding it out, I'm sure you got some significant complaints about the way you're treated. I know that's true with the MLB and the NBA. I don't know really anything about FIFA. I mean, they don't even call it soccer like it should be. So really hard to even take it seriously.
Well, you've got the LA Galaxy, haven't you? You guys try at least. I mean, I know you struggle, but
Never
you're
heard of
having
it.
a go, and that's the most important thing.
Is that a soccer team?
I think so. David Beckham played there a while, didn't he? LA
Who's
Galaxy.
David Beckham?
Is that a thing?
Oh, like bending
Get
like
out.
Beckham, that girl that was in that movie?
Exactly.
The girl that was in that movie. Exactly.
I mean, I don't know. I just feel like there needs to be a bit more rigidity around what the sport actually is. You know, I mean, look at wrestling. Wrestling's not a regulated sport. I'm talking about, you know,
It's not a sport.
entertainment wrestling. But yeah, but you've got like what, the WWE, and then
Yeah.
you've got like the WCW, and then TNT, and all these other fucking wrestling leagues. Who's watching them? No one. Like, no one cares. But the WWE has got like a huge fan base. So do you think you need one of these to rise from the crop and, you know, set
It'd
themselves
probably
up
be
as
a good
that's the
thing,
one to
right?
watch?
I would like to see some rules about like what teams can do and like how fast like players can just be dropped and traded, because like you mentioned earlier, is you have this problem where like you're following a team and all of a sudden you watch the next tournament and like 3 out of the 4 guys are completely different people. You're like, what the fuck happened? Like, this isn't the team I was watching. This isn't the team I was rooting for last time. And it's a little, you know, I think that's a problem for keeping the fans active. You know, it's like you want to be able to sell jerseys. You want to be able to, you know, you want to be able to build a fan base, and you can't do that if you're constantly swapping out your players. You know, like if you went to a Yankee game and the whole team was just completely fucking different every time you went, like
Where's the connection?
yeah,
Where's
you
the
can't
connection
connect,
to the
yeah.
team? You know, your favorite player. You know what I mean? I'd also kind of like to see, and like some people might not agree with this, I'd like to see some sort of if a company was to step up and be like, this is the premier major league gaming. You know what I mean? I'd like to see some sort of a code of conduct as well, man. Because some of these people, the way they promote themselves on Twitter and the way that they act and stuff like that. Like, I mean, you're very fortunate to be in the position that you're in.
Yeah,
And
but
they don't act very, I mean, you don't want to see Michael Jordan on Twitter talking shit to everyone, you know, every time somebody has an opinion. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like if you're going to be a professional athlete, you should act like one.
I think
and
that's the
not-
beauty of it, though, Wilson, is that the professionals do act like professionals. It's so easy to figure out who's an actual, like, who's got a fucking head on his shoulders as opposed to who's just fucking gonna pop off at the first sign of like action.
I mean, they do. Dennis Rodman, you know, he was a wild card back then.
Yeah.
He was one of my favorite basketball players to watch back then. You didn't know what the hell that guy was going to do.
Conor
It was
McGregor-
entertaining.
Conor McGregor is the biggest fighter in UFC history, right? Huge, a phenomenal guy, starting his own fighting organization now, fighting Floyd Mayweather. People fucking love Conor McGregor, and it's because he says what's on his mind. It's not because he's regulated his speech. And I feel like if you regulate people in their private lives, what they say on Twitter or what they say online, it stunts people from being themselves. And
I'm not saying you can't be yourself. I'm just saying there's definitely some things that some of these guys do, and I'm not going to drop any particular team names, but there's definitely things that they do to just get people riled up, and it's not what they actually think. You know what I mean? That's my point. I feel
talking
like no
about
matter who
tactics,
you
okay.
are, you should be held accountable for what you say. Whether you get paid millions of dollars or you get paid minimum wage, you are accountable for what you say. That's all I'm saying.
I'm with you.
Like,
Wilson.
fine them,
I believe
fine
you.
them, do whatever.
I'm with you 100%, but I don't think it's the league that should be making that decision. I think it should be the fans that make that decision.
Yep,
you go
that's
off.
the
point.
If you go off
point.
running your mouth, and I'm your fan, I'm gonna be like, well,
not done.
nice
Yeah,
knowing
no,
you. I'm glad I
That's a
didn't
good
buy that
point.
jersey yet.
That's okay.
Yeah.
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 No to the jersey.
Right. That's a good
I
point,
also
man.
think there's just not interesting enough players or athletes, if you want to call them that, to actually follow. So you mentioned McGregor, and you've seen people in there like Mayweather, Tyson, you know, people that are real characters. You mentioned Rodman as well. I can't name a professional gamer that I could tell you what their personality is, what they look like, what they do. I could tell streamers and stuff, but that's not quite the same thing. There's no one in there that's engaging enough. They're all just kind of good at games. You just see them staring at a screen and clicking. There's no one in there that's an entertainer. There's not someone that's elevated the sport in that way. I just don't know if they need to work on having, you know, charismatic players rather than just good players to elevate a sport. It's difficult to get behind a guy who just stares blankly at a screen for 6 hours and then occasionally sort of just cheers. And that's something that the sport, you know, it can only carry you so far watching someone that's good at Counter-Strike.
Yeah,
Well,
I
that's why
agree with
you
you
need
there
to get
for
into.
sure.
We need to get Gary into esports, guys. He has the personality. He has the tone, the way he speaks to people. He's a great character. What's going to be your game, Gary? Counter Strike?
Hello Kitty Island. I'm going for.
Oh fuck yeah! Well, you're going
You're gonna
places.
be the world champ at panty
Poster boy.
snapping in that one
Panty
game.
snapping.
Yeah, he's got
Panty
that.
snapping world
How many
champ.
panty snaps per minute? PSMs. You got going on there.
My PSM is like MLG status. That's where it needs to be. I just want to see people, and I want to get behind someone. If I'm going to watch gaming as a sport, I want to be saying, oh, I want to see SK Gaming because they've got this dude, and this dude, he's fucking crazy. I don't know what he's going to do. You know, he's really interesting. And when I say crazy, I don't know what he's going to do. Not like he's going to be racist on Twitter. I mean, like, you know, he might just do something really interesting in the game. He might showboat. He's got an intro, like when he walks into the stadium, he does a certain thing that people get behind. Yeah. That kind of personality and showmanship that Conor McGregor's brought to UFC and now boxing that you don't see anywhere else. And I've got no interest in UFC, but I started watching UFC because Conor McGregor's such a fucking entertaining gent. You know, he's a real.
You got to give it
charismatic
time.
guy.
You got to give the format time to develop. You got to give the stars time to develop. Right? Conor McGregor
grow,
wasn't the first UFC guy that came around. There were a bunch of guys that you don't know before that, right? But then Conor McGregor came around and he's got some personality and he's got the skill. So now he's like, you know, for golf, it's Tiger Woods, right? It's like a lot of people didn't watch any fucking golf till Tiger Woods came around, and all of a sudden Tiger Woods had the personality and he had the skill, right? And then everybody was watching golf. You know, Michael Jordan, you know, there's not a Michael Jordan every fucking year, right? There's one of these guys a generation if you're lucky.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Absolutely. All right, so the next topic is one that I was thinking of. I came up with it Friday, and it's something that's kind of close to me, you know, because I'm a fan of this particular franchise. The future of the Resident Evil franchise. Briar, we talked about this pre-show, so I'm really anxious to hear your thoughts on this. The Resident Evil franchise of games has had an interesting past. At its height with games like Resident Evil 4, Code Veronica, Resident Evil Revelations, and Resident Evil 2, the series owned and honed the horror genre. Unfortunately, with later duds like Resident Evil 5, 6, Umbrella Corps, and Operation Raccoon City, the franchise has seen a steep decline in interest, reception, and sales. Gamers and fans of the franchise cried for the days of old when the term survival horror meant something. For a while, it seemed like actual survival horror was gone, at least in the Resident Evil franchise. But in 2017, Capcom released Resident Evil 7, a survival horror game of old with claustrophobic environments, terrifying enemies, dwindling supplies, and a sense of panic and fear. I love this game and completed it in VR on my PlayStation 4 Pro. As of now, the website VG Charts states that worldwide sales of Resident Evil 7 have reached 2.09 million worldwide. A little underwhelming in my opinion, as Resident Evil 6 has sold 3.10 million and Part 5 sold over 5 million. With seemingly low sales on what I consider a true return to form, is the future of Resident Evil? What is the future of the Resident Evil series? Do you guys think we'll get more true survival horror Resident Evils, or will Capcom go toward the action-centered theme of games like Resident Evil 5 and 6 that have sold more than Resident Evil 7? It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, that's crazy. Look, when you listed off the sales numbers, that's shocking to me. The fact that between Resident Evil 7, 6, and 5, there's no question in my mind that Resident Evil 7 is by far the best game in that group. And the fact that it sold less than half as many as Part 5 did, and, you know, 50% less than what Resident Evil 6 did is insane. It's insane to me. Resident Evil 7 is a fantastic game, and I wonder if it got marred by the fact that it was VR. I wonder if people didn't pick it up because they said, oh, this game was built for VR. I know I could play it on my PlayStation or on my PC, but it was really, you know, I think it's supposed to be a VR game, so maybe I'll wait till I get VR.
Can I be honest? That's why I didn't pick it up.
Yeah?
Because it looked like more fun in VR. I felt like if I played it on console, I wasn't getting the full experience. And to, like, see a lot of the jump scares that people were getting in VR. Like, I watched you and Tefty stream at Briar, and it was absolutely hilarious. The jump scares, you know, even sub alerts. When you guys would be streaming it, and a sub alert would come in. That was probably better than some of the actual intentional jump scares, to be honest.
I mean, I picked it up, but I didn't.
Ahead, Gary.
I guess I kind of regretted picking it up. Something that sat on the shelf. I never completed it. I got through. I didn't even get to the first real boss. I kind of played a bit of it, and what put me off, and I think what put a lot of gamers off picking it up, was just how scary it was. So games like Outlast and games that are really survival horror-esque are always niche games. They're never going to be big, popular games that are going to dominate the charts because there's not that many people that like horror movies and like to be scared. I'd play Resident Evil 2 or 3. I think the last one I played was probably 2, actually. Because they weren't that scary. They were zombies in them, but zombies that I could deal with and that they weren't terrifying. I'd rather play an action game that's based in a zombie environment than a horror game myself because I don't like being scared. So do you think it could be at least instigated by that people just didn't want to feel that afraid?
I just can't. I can't see that as being a valid reason. I think the horror genre is just as huge as it's always been. You know, people. Yeah, but I mean,
horror movies don't pack them in like an Avengers movie does, right?
Absolutely,
they don't pack it in. They're not the most popular
because
movies
there are
out
restrictions. There are usually restrictions.
You can't take your family to.
Yeah, there are restrictions.
A lot of your family doesn't want to go see it. I don't like horror movies. I don't like horror games. Resident Evil 7 was really fucking good.
I love them. There's nothing better than that for me.
I saw Friday the 13th in the movie theater, several of them, and Nightmare on Elm Streets with my parents growing up.
Jason Takes Manhattan.
I understand that a lot of people do like them. I don't like them. If I'm going to go watch a piece of entertainment or play a video game, I like having like a power fantasy or laughing the whole time instead of shitting my pants the whole time wondering if this dumb bitch who's going into the basement fucking alone is gonna get her, face chopped off.
Of course she is. She's gonna run first, and then she's gonna fall.
To be honest, I haven't had a game or a movie like scare me in a long time, and it's funny that you bring up Resident Evil because that's one of the last games that actually gave me a terrifying feeling. That the first one was the dog chase. They jumped through the windows and stuff. Yeah. I got mauled pretty hard growing up by a dog. Like first time I had to get stitches, it was like 198 stitches. I was in like the 4th grade. That scene terrified me. Not just because I'd gotten bit by the dog, but that feeling of there's something on your ass that it's right behind you. And if you slip up for even a second, that's it. And that's the last time I can remember getting that feeling from a video game or even a movie for that matter. Like, so it wasn't necessarily like a scary thing that kept me from buying it. It's just that I didn't really want to spring the cash for VR for one game because that was the only game that really interested me.
Yeah.
For VR because I enjoy being scared for a little bit. That's the cool thing about movies and games. If you get scared, you can walk away from it. You know what I mean? Like you can remove yourself from the situation. That actually made me want to purchase a VR more than anything is a game like that. Like if I can be put into that universe and actually be scared to the points where I think something's behind me, like that's good money spent, man.
It's Resident Evil 7 for PlayStation VR is what The Legend of Zelda is for the Nintendo Switch. It's the pivotal title. It's the best experience I think you can have overall. And it's unfortunate that some people can't.
You like it better than Super Hot?
Yeah, it's better than Super Hot. Super Hot's a lot of fun, but it's a lot of the same. Resident Evil feels like it's more of a complete experience. You're there and you feel like you're there. There's so much going on, and everywhere you look, you feel like there could be something around every corner. And the story is amazing. And it took me a while to get back into it, Briar, but I actually went back and I completed it. And the end boss is unbelievably terrifying in VR. I literally felt like I was going to piss my pants when this thing was coming after me. It's a special kind of experience. And I'm wondering what Capcom's going to do because, of course, the prime objective of any company is positive revenue. And if they see that they're making a lot more money on games that have Chris Redfield punching boulders and, you got Leon Kennedy sliding across the floor in slow motion like The Matrix versus a game that is truly survival horror where you have limited supplies, claustrophobic environment, terrifying enemies around every corner, will they forego what true survival horror is and go toward this action-oriented genre that happens to just have zombies in it? And I mean, we don't get enough games like that anymore. Dead Space is a great example of true survival horror. That was an amazing experience, both Dead Space games, actually. And
Great,
of course,
there
there are three, but the first two to me were the bee's knees of survival horror. They kind of went the way of Capcom as well later on, and started to put a little bit more action. Not as much as Capcom
Isn't that because
did.
you're kind of, you're limiting your audience though, because you're making a horror game, right? There's just not like Gary said, there's not as big an audience for horror games that there is for an action game.
I was really into VR at the time when that came out. Really into VR. I'm still am, to be fair, from an Oculus perspective or PC. I don't even own a PSVR anymore. But when I was reading the forums as to why people weren't picking it up, or were they going to pick it up in VR, from a VR forum perspective, the overwhelming feedback I was seeing everywhere was, love to play this game. I don't like scary games. I don't like being scared. I don't like feeling scared. And that's, for me, is like, I wouldn't choose to spend my time and money feeling afraid. I don't see any value in it. I have no enjoyment in it whatsoever. If the VR game, if I was playing Resident Evil and I could play it in a mode where I had loads of ammo and I could just shoot loads of zombies, whatever, I'd probably play it. For me, the feeling of powerlessness and feeling terrified, I have zero interest in it.
But that was also its greatest strength, because you weren't playing a third-person character. It was you. I was there. I was running away from these fucking spiders, and I was running away from this fucking asshole trap guy, and like it felt so fucking real. I don't like horror games, but I had to applaud them for just making one of the best VR games that I've ever played. But now you've narrowed down your audience twice, because some people just won't play horror games, and some people, saw it as a VR game, not as a game, right? So it makes sense. $2 million for a VR game is fantastic. $2 million for a Resident Evil game, not great.
Yeah, and I agree with you guys. I see your point, and maybe Capcom in the future can market their games as regular standalone experiences and not particularly go for the jugular with VR. But some people, Gary, feel the exact opposite when it comes to horror. I think that feeling of being incredibly...
it's you can't look at your own personal experience. You have to look at how many people
you're talking about the majority.
Out of a potential how many people out of a potential audience that we want to sell. We've got a $5 million or 5 million sales target, right? We want to sell 5 million copies of this game and we think we can, because Resident Evil 5 or Resident Evil 6 sold 5 million copies. This game's even better, so we should be able to surpass that target. Well, why did we fail? And that's what you got to start looking at. Well, we reduced our audience because we made it a VR game, and we reduced our audience because it leaned too heavily on horror, whereas since Resident Evil 4, they've really been starting to go more on the action side.
Yeah, well, I guess that's the gist of the question. Do you guys think that future Resident Evil games will go back towards action and forget this true survival horror kind of experience? It's unfortunate for me, and it's a bittersweet thing, because we don't get this very often, the kind of experience that Resident Evil 7 was. And for me, to see Capcom go back the opposite direction kind of breaks my heart. But I understand the business aspect of it, that they have to make their money. And who knows? I mean, look at the reception of games like Hideo Kojima's, not Silent Hills, that demo that came out. What's it called?
PT.
PT. The reception of that's one of the most terrifying experiences ever in a video game. And it was one of the biggest demos. Everyone on earth was going crazy about it. I think that if it's done right and done in the right light with the right message, that a horror game can be huge. I don't necessarily believe that it's because people are afraid of horror. Horror is a genre. It's like comedy. I think
except it sells half as good as comedy.
Yeah, I just feel like horror is a really lazy, and this is again my perspective on it. I feel like creating a horror game is quite a lazy thing, like putting jump scares into a game. It's not great storytelling. You can do jump scares. That's all well and good.
Resident Evil wasn't like that, though.
Yeah, I would agree with Beasley there. I mean, I would agree, Gary, most of the time, especially horror movies, feel fucking lazy. They just do the same fucking thing over and over again and just play on jump scares.
Mm-hmm.
Resident Evil 7 was special. They did a lot of cool stuff with that game. They did a lot of stuff with the atmosphere. The character design was fantastic. There was arcs to the characters where you definitely wouldn't expect it. It was a fantastic game.
I mean,
I feel like it will go back to that old style, and I feel like it was just kind of too soon, maybe ahead of its time, maybe a little bit. Like it was just too soon to drop that in depth of a horror VR experience while people are just starting to dip their toes into VR.
Do you guys remember what we talked about before PSVR came out? We were talking about what types of games were the best VR experiences, and I remember distinctly that many of us said that horror was the best thing for VR. Now that we got an amazing horror game, it's like now we're
I
getting.
definitely never said that.
No, I don't think that you did. I think that it was on our old show. We actually talked about it, and of course, you let it be known, Brian, that you're pretty afraid of horror games. But
I'm not afraid of horror. Look, I'll tell you, I am afraid of horror. Like good horror
Take it back.
does make me scared, but for the most part, horror movies especially, they're fucking terrible movies. Like they're just bad.
You're
like
right.
they just do a bad job of making these movies, so it's not even entertaining. You know.
Mm-hmm.
I just think for me, could there be the point I was trying to get to there around horror being lazy is, I think good zombie or good post-apocalyptic or horror-esque games can be achieved without them needing to be scary. So I know, BC, this is something close to your heart, and it's a game that I really enjoyed and didn't feel scared playing, but did feel enthralled playing, and that's The Last of Us.
Thank you.
So The Last of Us to me is a game set in a pretty horrific place. You know, the world's destroyed. There's these terrifying creatures that are stalking you around. I didn't feel scared though. I felt engaged. The story motivated me, moved me. It wasn't jump scary. There was no cheap scares in it. It was scary. What you thought, what's going to happen to Ellie and what's going to happen in this relationship. You know, and there were certainly some tense moments, but there wasn't jump scares. So could Resident Evil maybe take a lesson from that and think we've lent too heavy on the horror? Previously, we've gone too hard on the action. Could we tell a strong story narrative that kind of goes through the middle? And would that be a sweet
That's
spot?
what I feel like Resident Evil 7 did.
It did. It totally did.
I don't know.
Gary, you
Disagree
need
on
to
that.
play that game, man. Even if you play it on PC. Well, is it on PC?
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
Play it on PC. Don't play it on VR. Just play it on ultra settings and play it, and you'll kind of understand where Briar and I are talking about.
The first hour of Resident Evil 7, it leans on the horror stuff pretty hard, right? Like, you know, like chainsawing your hand off and jump scares. And then it starts developing its story, and it does a pretty good job at that. There's about 3/4 of the way in, you start losing track of the story a little bit, and it doesn't really, it never really comes together like it should have. But it does. It's got compelling characters. It's got a compelling story, and I think it does a damn good job of kind of keeping you on your toes about, you know, who are these characters, what happened to them to get them to where they are, and you know, that's really what drove me through the game.
And the action is pretty intense. I mean, it's not like you're running around with a flashlight. You got rocket launchers, shotguns. I mean, you feel like a badass in this world. I think that they married it perfectly. It's just kind of unfortunate to see the outcome of only 2.09 million sales. And I remember one of the people who worked on the project was expecting 5 million in the first month. So
I wonder if this game will be a slow burn for Capcom. Like it's just gonna keep selling. You know, like as the Christmas holiday comes around and a bunch of new people get PSVR, is this gonna be on their wish list for their PSVR?
It needs to be.
If they ever update VR compatibility into the Steam release, is that gonna sell a bunch more copies for them on PC?
Yeah,
you know,
that was a timed exclusive 12 months, so it will be coming out.
Yeah.
In, was it October, November? I don't know.
That was a rumor, though. Was that confirmed by Capcom that it was a time?
That was confirmed. It was coming to the PC after 12 months.
I got a quick question before we move on, because I think we've thoroughly fleshed out our thoughts on this. Briar, I know that you shy away from horror mostly. What was your reason behind picking this game up? Did you just get it because of the hype, or
it was the best looking VR game that I'd ever seen. I also knew that I could stream it. There's no small part of it, and being able to stream it meant that it was like having somebody in the room with me holding my hand.
Yeah, I love that stream. It was so good. Wilson,
do you guys think it could have done a little better, like if it was developed separately, like if there was a standalone for console and a standalone for VR?
No.
You don't think it would have done any better?
It is a standalone for console. When you switch off VR mode, it looks much better. It looks like any regular PS4, Xbox One, or PC game.
It didn't look like it felt that way. It looked like it felt very sluggish, like very slow movement. Like, no?
No, totally
No,
not.
not,
It
not
was
any more than a normal Resident Evil
no,
game.
well, it's a different type of Resident Evil, but it was a first person experience,
Right.
and it felt smooth and responsive, and it wasn't slow or sluggish when you turned off VR. It's just when you go into VR, you're just in the damn game. So to me, it was a double whammy of wow. And when I turned off the VR to experience it on my 4K, it looked like any other PS4 or Xbox One game I played.
So what if they had done this? What if they had released the game for, console and PC without VR support, and then the first DLC was VR support?
that would have been huge. I think that would have been huge. It probably would have been their best thing, but the fact that they promoted this on PlayStation, I think that they wanted to get VR hyped as well to kind of push the PSVR.
But how do you have a $5 million sales target or a 5 million copy sales target when there's 200,000 PSVRs out there? And you're marketing it as a PSVR game. I know that it's not, you don't need a PSVR to play it, but you marketed it as a PSVR game. Sony was marketing it as the coolest thing in PSVR. The demo was a PSVR demo. They marketed that thing as a VR game. So, yeah. I would like to see more of that, frankly. I would love to see Resident Evil 8 come out for VR, but, if they feel like they got bit by putting this game out for VR, they're not going to do that.
Unfortunate. That's very sad.
What do we got for the next topic?
We're going to do a completionist versus casual playthrough of games. So when you start playing a game that you really enjoy, are you the kind of gamer that, because you're really enjoying the game, you want to try to 100% it, get everything done, all the side quests, maybe a New Game Plus playthrough? Are you the kind of gamer that just wants to get through the story and only do a few side quests until you get tired of them? Maybe do just enough stuff to get through the main quest line and move on to the next game. And I think there's a few benefits to both of what kind of gamer you are, if you're a completionist or casual, for lack of a better term. Sorry, I couldn't think of a better term other than casual. But one of the benefits, in my opinion, to being a completionist, you get your money's worth from the game, obviously, because sometimes, some games with New Game Plus modes and multiple endings and things like that, you can end up sinking, over 100 hours into a game. And not to mention, you get to experience some of the most OP weapons and challenging encounters in some of these games. Now, most of that relates to, RPGs and stuff like that. But if you really take your time to go through and 100% a game, you might find a weapon or an item that hasn't been tuned like it should be. It might be a little broken. So you can have some interesting playthroughs that way. Part of the benefits of a casual playthrough, you're not as time constrained to playing that game. So if you're the type of person that just likes to experience the main story and get through the game and stuff like that, you have chances to do that with other games. Whereas I used to be a trophy hunter for PlayStation. I could not move on to another game until I platinumed it. It took me a long time to get to some of these games. And granted, they were cheaper by the time that I got to them, but nobody else was playing them. You know what I mean? So grinding isn't for everyone, and 100%ing a game can feel like a bit of a grind. So I understand that's a turnoff, but basically I just wanted to know, what kind of gamer are you guys? Are you a completionist? Or are you someone who just likes to get through the main story?
I'm completely subjective. If I start playing a game and I think it's amazing and I feel rewarded just for playing it, I'm motivated to play all of it. I did that with Horizon Zero Dawn. I 100% of that game. The Batman Arkham series, I 100% it. Of course, The Last of Us, 100% of the game. But some games are just good enough that you want to just play it, experience it, and put it behind you after you see the credits roll. And so for me, it all really depends. If I personally feel a connection to a game, during the first few hours of playing it and experiencing it, and I feel rewarded just by playing it, then I want to play it more, and I want to see everything, every nook and cranny that's in that game. And some games you enjoy, you think they're good enough games, but you're not motivated to search for every nook and cranny and search for every trophy. But you feel rewarded enough just by beating the game. And so for me, I'm completely subjective. If I love it, I'm going to do it. If I like it, I'm just going to play it through. Guys?
Gary?
Yeah, so for me, I've never been a completionist with games. I'm a completionist in everything else in my life. I'm really OCD with, like, if I'm collecting manga or like anime, I've got to have like every one of the series. If I buy games, I've got to buy like 1, 2, and 3, even if I'm only going to play 3. Like, I have to have everything. When I play a game, though, very little bothers me. Achievements, I've never cared at all about achievements. Achievements for me started actually in World of Warcraft, where they introduced an achievement system in the game to like doing different things. So there was like, they introduced trophies within the game. I had zero care. If you tell me what your gamer score is or how many trophies you've got, I don't care. Like, I would immediately switch off. Like, I have zero care about what you've got. For me,
like
there's
telling me about how cute your baby is. I just don't give a shit.
Exactly that. I mean, they all look like
I have
little
so
old
many
men.
platinums. You
Doesn't
need to
matter.
see this, okay? Do you know how long it took to get the platinum in Mercenaries?
Yeah, I bet your kid is really smart too.
Like a week.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's because there's no value in the currency. I don't care. So what would make me more interested is if you could, I don't know if it would be DLC locked, but you know, like the cosmetic stuff, like new skins, new armors, etc. If you could either buy them with real cash, or if you could unlock, like, use your achievement points to purchase something for the game, then maybe I'd be more interested in it. But the fact that you give me nothing for it and you're just taking my time and giving me some number on a thing, I don't know, zero interest in completionism.
But it's making the EPeen much bigger,
No, man,
yeah.
it actually works a different way. It gets smaller the larger the number is. It's like buying an expensive car.
I kind of side with Gary here on this one. There's been very few games where I felt like I needed to see everything, but when I have felt it, like, I felt it strong. Fallout 3 was, I beat the game, then went right back in, and I wanted to see every nook and corner of that world. But it wasn't for achievements. It was because just the world, they had built such a cool and beautiful world that I just wanted to find everything. I just wanted to see everything that was available content-wise to that. Destiny, you know, obviously I've played a lot of fucking Destiny, but that was different because I'm not achievement hunting in that game. It's more of, I want to, I guess it's a form of achievement hunting because I want to constantly be grinded for new gear so I'm powerful enough to go into the raid with my buddies. And then, you know, I like multiplayer gaming. I like competitive multiplayer. So it's fun for me to jump in and have the coolest fucking guns to go blast people with in Destiny's Crucible, you know? So that's a little bit of different thing. But like, if I play like Hellblade, I'll never probably play Hellblade again. I'm just not that kind of person. I've experienced that once and I'm done. I never played BioShock again. I played it once. I fucking loved it and I moved on. You know, there's a ton of games like that I'm just not, I don't care about the achievements. I don't care about the gamer score. It's more about the experience, and I want to have as many awesome experiences as I can.
I guess
It's like
like
Breath of
gamer
the
score
Wild.
and trophies were like a bad, like, it doesn't, completing a game or 100%ing a game doesn't necessarily mean that you got all the trophies or the achievements for it. Like, and you had mentioned Destiny, you know, getting all the exotics, doing all the content. Like, the first time I made it to the lighthouse, like, yeah, I was excited to get the loot, but I was more excited that I had at that point officially completed all the content that Destiny had thrown at me. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you could say you've played Trials of Osiris, and this isn't me being elitist, but
Sounds like
until you make it to the lighthouse,
it makes you
and
feel
step
elite
foot in
though.
there,
You know, it
you're
does.
like,
It makes you feel elite, and it's a good feeling to go to the lighthouse. It's a good feeling to complete a raid, especially if you do it like in the first couple of days a raid is available. You feel like you're one of the few.
It's a very similar feeling with the raid, completing the raid for the first time and going to the lighthouse for the first time. But it's more of a sense that, like, this content was put in the game, and until I achieve said goal, I can't physically walk around and experience it. Like, yeah, you get loot and stuff like that, but like I said, like, gamer score and trophies and stuff like that, like, that's not necessarily like 100%ing a game, in my opinion. Just like, if you want to experience all the content that the game has to offer, or, you know, you're going to grind it out for Dreg's Promise that you're probably not going to use, but you want that spot filled out on your kiosk, you know what I mean? Like, just to say that you do have it, or that you've been there, done that with 100% of the game, you know what I mean? And I think I'm kind of with you guys. Like, if the game's interesting, of course, I'm going to jump in, do as much of it as I can until it isn't interesting to me anymore. And if a game is just interesting enough to keep me through the campaign, yeah, I'll probably probably drop it like a hot potato once I get through it. So.
Side note, I hope Destiny 2 has a better way for people to get in together to do raids. I just didn't have a ton of friends in Destiny.
You had all the friends in the world.
Huh?
No, you had me.
You ain't four other people?
Dude, I can fill up a raid team. Like, let's go do a raid right now. We can fill up a raid team.
they do Beastly. They do have a new thing where, what was it called? Like something to do with the clans, the preferred clans,
guided games.
Yeah. So yeah, basically you fill out a questionnaire saying what you want to get out of the raid experience, and based upon what other people have filled out on who they're looking for in their raid, it'll match you up. So it's basically like a personality match. It's the what is it, like an internet dating. It'll match you up based on Match.com for Destiny, basically.
Yeah,
so
you're good. You guys heard don't need that 80 missions. Edge Magazine released an article.
That's been misquoted. There's 80 PvE activities.
Oh, okay.
I heard there was 50 plus missions.
Yeah, there might be 50 plus missions. It might not. But Destiny 1 at launch, if you added it all up, because they're including strikes, public events, etc., etc. Destiny 1 had 55. So this has got more than Destiny 1 had at launch, but Destiny 1 at launch was pretty bare bones. So take it how you want. It could be 80 really, really chunky, meaningful activities, or it could be 80 very lightweight ones, but it's not 80 missions. No, that's been clarified.
That's too bad. That was hype.
Yeah, that sounded intense.
Yeah.
Man. That's your money's worth right there.
Sorry, I slapped your boner right on the end of it right there with a newspaper.
Okay. I'd rather you do it now than let me just like sustain this boner for hours and hours.
Get back down there. Putting it in check.
I mean, it is what it is. Completionism, if you're calling completionism completing a game, then I try to complete games unless I'm really not enjoying the game. Then I'll put it down. Like Resident Evil 7 was one that I didn't complete because I really wasn't enjoying it. Just comes to mind because we were talking about it. But yeah, I mean, I play games that you can't complete. Things like MMOs where there is no completion. Destiny, I guess you can't really complete. You can complete.
Sounds like a cop out for a while. I think you can complete it, Gary. I just think you haven't devoted enough time to it yet. I think you need to be serious and devote at least
stop fucking around.
At least 20,000 hours to it.
Yeah, then we can have this conversation.
Sorry to cut you off there, but I had to.
Time to get another PC to sit next to you while you do the show, so you can multitask.
I've got two. I could be on it right now. You guys just don't know it.
You probably are.
Probably am. Yeah. I mean, completionism. Do we think that completionism then is? Because my take on your question there was trophies and achievements. In which case, I'd say no. If you call completionist completing games, then probably yeah.
I like to see the end credits. Like if that's what you're talking about, I like to see the last.
But
I don't necessarily like start in on the new game plus and collected every single weapon and every piece of armor. Like Horizon Zero Dawn, for instance, I like that game, but man, I mainlined that story and just it was out of my life. Like I never looked back.
Can't help it, man.
Did you play that
thing sometimes? When I really enjoy a game, I want everything in the game, and like I take it to the extreme of like I want every skill tree maxed out. I want every possible weapon found. I can't help it, man. Like I mean, it's put in the game for me to experience. You know what I mean? And so many times I have found something that if I had not ventured off to do that to max out a specific skill tree, like I wouldn't be like, you can find some really OP builds and some really OP stuff. And like, yeah, it makes the game easier or whatever, but sometimes it's fun, dude, to just find something that's just broke as shit and run through the area and destroy everyone. You know what I mean? And you might not have found it had you just stuck to the yellow brick road, so to speak. Like, that's just my opinion though.
All right, so moving on to the sixth topic, revolving to the last. Now, this is for the co-hosts and for you guys watching and listening. I want to know in the comments what your thoughts are on this last topic. Desert Island Gaming. Okay, you find yourself stranded on an island, alone and wondering where you are. You stumble across a lamp, and upon picking it up, a huge genie pops out of it and says, "Pick wisely. You have three choices of game." You have three choices of games. One first-person shooter, one single-player game, and any game of any genre. All online components, modes, and extras, including voice chat, will be enabled, and I will supply you with food and drink for the rest of your life of solitude. What do you pick? You get a first-person shooter, a single-player game, and any game of any genre of your choosing. Now, to make this easy, I'm going to go first. My choices for first-person shooter are Overwatch. I feel like every single time you play that game, it's a completely different experience, and there's so many characters, there's so many different ways to play it. It's amazing. My single-player game with online modes and functions would be The Last of Us, because I love that world so much. And it has an incredible online mode. So it's 2 games. And my last game, which is a game of any genre, would be World of Warcraft, because I feel like I could probably play that game for 50 years and do something different every day and still have fun. So those are my choices. I can't wait to hear you guys' choices in the comments. And of course,
I wasn't able to play that game for a day without doing the same thing fucking over and over again.
World of
To be
Warcraft.
fair, you didn't have Gary. You didn't have the sultry, sweet sounds of
The
Gary.
sounds of Gary.
I could have taken you under my wing and guided you like a newborn bird
Sounds
through
so
the
good.
world.
Ooh, even him just saying that. I'm logging
Play
in.
right now.
It's like a warm blanket. Like, oh, I feel good.
Man, I feel so
That'd be
secure and
great.
safe in
You
here.
could have been my tavern wench. It would have been fantastic.
Okay, it doesn't feel good anymore.
What do you
Cabin boy?
What do you guys
Cabin
think
boy
about
doing
this?
it
It's
for
gonna
you?
take a little bit of thought for me. So if anybody
It's
else
a
already
tough
has their
one.
answers, yeah, that's a very tough one. For first-person shooter, it's obviously Destiny.
Destiny
Any of
2,
the Destiny
right?
franchise.
Now, the
Yeah.
single-player game can have an online mode, but it's just a game that's mostly a single-player experience. And of course, the last game is any
That's
game
the
of any
hardest
genre.
one, I think, is the single player. Because it's like, I can't think of a single player that I'm not going to get bored with eventually.
Final Fantasy VII. That's my
Ooh.
single player.
Ooh,
So I'm gonna
that's
go with
good.
Destiny for first-person shooter, Final Fantasy VII,
That
because
is
we were talking
good.
about completing games, and that
Oh,
has
man.
shit in it.
That's a
And
good-
then the third choice was just any genre of my choosing.
any genre, any game of all time.
I'm gonna have to say WoW so I can hear Gary's voice.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to say WoW because like it's the perfect game. You're on a desert island for the rest of your life, and this genie's just gonna give you food and drink, and like all you
Yeah.
gotta do is play this game. Like what else are you gonna play?
Yeah.
Fucking WoW.
I mean, to me, this question itself is misguided, man. You need 3 MMOs. You're talking about games that require time. Why are you fucking around in a single-player game? You're on this island.
Hey, man, it's what the genie said, not me, okay, Gary? I'm just reading you what he said.
If
Well,
not
I'm
Final
gonna-
Fantasy VII, I would say Chrono Trigger so I could experience all
Ooh.
13 endings.
Yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
one.
Then once you've played all 13 endings, what do?
You
Let's
play
start
WoW.
again.
You go play WoW. It's like when you get done doing anything at that point, you'd go
By
play
the
WoW.
time
I
you get
just
done
got
with the
eating.
13th, you'll have forgotten the first one. So you
Wait a
might as
minute.
well-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Start
Wait a minute,
over.
wait.
Cycle it.
This game, what else do you have on this desert island? Is it just you've just got 3 games on this island? Is that right?
Yep.
You got no TV, no phone, no nothing else.
We're talking about gaming here. You can have the Playboy channel if you want, Gary. I'll throw that in.
No.
Okay.
Because if you don't have the Playboy channel, then one of them needs to be Galgun so you can snap some Japanese panties. Because that's the only entertainment you're going to have in that space forever.
Is that one of your choices, Gary?
He doesn't have Playboy. He has Play Gents, the gentleman, the Play Gentleman Club.
Well, I'm saying, you're going to need some sort of Leisure Suite Larry or whatever the equivalent is, like summer vacation kind of thing.
Dead or
That's
Alive
all you've
Volleyball.
got. Man, you're going to be trying to like arrange seaweed into interesting pornographic shapes by the end of it. Like you've got no stimulus for like
Drawn in the
Gary,
sand.
Gary took the question straight to the fucking gutter. I love it.
you're watching like seagulls boning and trying to get off on it by the end of it. I mean, you're here on this island forever.
Can't you,
The
can't you-
internet. There's online
you-
gaming. You've got the internet. Like there's plenty
You've
of.
got the internet for
You
gaming.
don't need to draw seaweed. There's somebody's already done it for you on the internet, man, and
Yeah.
it's probably way more detailed than what you could come up with. So
Yeah,
you've
right.
got the internet.
Plus, Gary, you could form a real relationship in World of Warcraft. You can get married to an actual girl playing a video game from around the world. Talk to her. You guys have like World of Warcraft chatting, sex, and all of a sudden you're beating off behind a tree somewhere. I mean, it could work on a desert island.
Do you have to go behind the tree on the
I mean,
island? though?
there's
you
nobody.
probably could do it.
If you're on a deserted
Why do you
island, why do you have to hide it?
Yeah, that's just
Yeah, man.
on it at that
Just-
point. Okay, no
Let it
shame
run
in the game.
free. Let it run free. I mean, what is this? Is this island too hot as well? Is it a cold island? Is it a warm island? What's it like?
Your
Is there
perfect
rain?
Island,
Perfect.
Gary. It
It's
is
Nirvana.
it's the reason why you would be there in the first place to find the genie.
All right, because I don't like gaming in the heat as well, because that's something else there. Because any of these games here, I wouldn't want to play in the heat. Like, when it's too warm, it's just not nice. It's not comfortable. The mouse is very sweaty. It's not.
This isn't Goldilocks. This is gaming. This isn't. You don't need to find one that's just right. You know what I mean? Like, this is your island, Gary. This is your picture perfect area.
However
that
you want it to be, Gary.
You said all components are most. Do I have a desk?
Yes.
Do I have a monitor? What monitors do I have?
You have whatever monitor
The
you want.
best.
The best
All the
one.
hertz. All the hertz.
1,000 hertz.
Mm-hmm.
1,000 hertz, you say? That opens the question wider. I don't know. To me, like, I'm less concerned with what games I've got, but more the setting that I've got to play them in.
He just doesn't want to admit that he'd only play WoW. Fuck the other games. He just wants WoW.
Well, no, I mean, if I'm talking about what games I play, then for me it would just be 3 MMOs. Because, like I said, Overwatch. How long can you honestly play Overwatch for? Your placement games, that's it. Destiny. Yeah, I mean, you can play it for a while, but it is what it is. And a single-player game, I want to bounce off that hard. But MMOs,
Yeah,
you give me 3 MMOs.
Death. What I'm looking at is I want every game to be a game of service, right? So it's always going to be changing, right? So even though I selected a game, the game itself is going to change over time. So I'll constantly be getting new content. So I'd be looking at things like Destiny 2, Warframe, Path of Exile, Warcraft, Final Fantasy 14, like that's the kind of area I'd be looking at. It's stuff that I'm constantly going to be getting new activities and new story and new stuff to do. But eventually, like if you pick one of those games, like when Destiny 3 comes out,
You're
that's
fucked.
it. When Warcraft 2 comes out, that's it. So eventually, like, do they shut off those servers?
They can't shut off
I mean,
the
we're talking
island
like
server.
long term here. We're talking like we're gonna be stuck on this thing for like 70 years.
Yeah.
I don't know,
I mean,
actually.
well,
If you're on
then-
an island, you've got no access to medications. You'll probably be dead of dysentery and malnutrition in a couple of years. You've not got that long.
Ooh, Oregon Trail, that's a good game. Dysentery,
Oregon
that's a good one.
Or Tropico, you could build your own civilization and wish that you were living there. Instead, you're on this fucking island on your own, doing nothing.
I mean, it would have to be a game that they would 100% be adding to for the rest of your life. Because let's be real, the only answer there is World of Warcraft. Because if they shut that game down, people are going to fucking riot. It's the only game that could potentially be around, you know, like...
I'm sorry, I'm reading this silly comment. I'm going to go through some of these comments.
I read that one too by Ash. That was a good one. Ash for the podcast listeners, Ash in the comments section said, the genie is actually beastly. When Gary asks for his games, he'll just throw a basic PS4 at him and leave.
And that will provide firewood for at least one evening. So, done me a favour, really.
Oh, man.
I mean,
All
you
right.
don't have...
Nuts.
Yeah, it's an interesting topic. I mean, I'm just thinking about, would I want to play this stuff, or would I want to just get my sort of Tom Hanks Castaway on and sort of be yelling Wilson at a ball and doing that sort of thing. Gaming's probably the last of my concerns. What about beer? Can the genie give us beer?
Sure. Any type of sustenance you
Oh
want.
my God, I'd be
he'll
Food
provide
and
you.
drink for the rest of your life.
Yeah,
That
the rest of
qualifies
your
as
life
drink.
of solitude.
Sometimes food.
Imagine the internet trolling that Gary would get up to if he had unlimited time and unlimited alcohol.
That's it. If you just give me Twitter and a load of accounts, that's it. I'm going to be the egg that just trolls everyone. I mean, I'm gone. I'm away.
Good luck trolling NASA, man. They're pretty prudish about people trolling them.
I hear they ban.
They'll ban you
guys
from
are
they'll ban you from their live stream in a fucking instant, man, for being a critical thinker.
Do all four of us have our own islands as well, or is it one island with 4 quadrants, like the Hunger Games?
Individual islands.
We all have our own
Individual
islands, and they all got Ethernet running to them, except for Beasley. He's got shitty Wi-Fi.
If you're gonna be beaten off behind a tree, Gary, you get your own island. All right, that's all I gotta say.
That's part of my concern, because I don't have clothing. I'm sitting there, bare-ass naked, playing World of Warcraft on a fucking beach somewhere, using a palm tree as shade, because I can't see the
Sounds
monitor because it's
amazing,
glare.
Gary.
No, it's just
Sounds
think of glare, think of sand in your components. Yeah, you could.
Yeah, components, all right.
Man, I mean, you're forgetting the obvious. The genie can make all this stuff go away. He's not asking for 3 wishes. He's asking for 3 games. He's definitely gonna hang out and make sure that shit works. He's got to give you food for the rest of his life. That was
Like, do we
part of
get to like custom order a PC too from the genie whenever we want? Like, I mean, new game comes out. I'm thinking, hey, quad
I need the
1080
new-
Ti
yeah.
SLI rig sounds pretty good, genie. make it
Yeah,
fucking
he'll take care of
happen.
you. Yeah.
And that's going to be shit in like 5 years' time. The genie's magic PC that he's given you is going to be horseshit.
Oh, wait, I can't. Like in 5 years, I'm stuck with this one PC forever.
No. This is my topic. It'll change to whatever you want, Briar. In the future, if it becomes obsolete, you just snap your finger. The genie pops back up and says he's eating a Moe's burrito, looks at you and says, "Oh, you need a new one? Voila. Shazam."
Genie, take me to the fucking mainland. What the fuck? You can,
Yeah, I know,
you
man.
can like automatically create these
And
fucking
then that's when he tells you
$10,000 game machines.
he's actually confined to the island too. He's been watching you for the last
Yeah,
few
that's
years.
what he tells you.
This
You're fucked.
genie
He's
is
watching
like
us
some
jerk off behind the
voyeuristic
tree.
dick, man.
That's
Why
why
does
we're
he wanna keep me
hiding.
there? Like, he's performing monkey to sit and play games for him naked while he watches me beat off for eternity.
You're his own personal
Truman Show,
ESL.
basically.
Man, I've got more questions about what sort of operation this genie's running. How did I arrive on this island? Did he put me there? Or
Yeah,
did
that's
I
a good
like
question.
The truth is, Gary, you are actually improving his gamer score in the genie world. Every
So
time
he-
you play a
so
game.
I'm his slave?
Yeah.
So
He's
you're
feeding
telling
you
me
whatever
that
he
I've got a
wants.
He's
life
gonna
of
treat you
slavery?
so well. He's gonna feed you, give you video games,
Whatever you want.
and you don't gotta do shit for the rest of your life. Where's this fucking island?
1,000
That's what I want
birds.
to know. Like,
I'm
Yeah,
thinking about
1,000
moving there.
I want to go.
I'm not sold, man.
Bring Sam with me.
Man, you've given me a very gilded cage, but I'm still a cage bird. I need to fly free. I need to know that I can leave when I want to. I'm
I
stuck
know,
on
we're
this island
basically
with him.
talking about my dog's life right now, and that motherfucker looks pretty happy all the time.
You got that right. Shit. Real story, side note. Last night, Kate was going to bed with Ellie. I was laying on the couch, and she came in the living room and said, "Was one of the cats trapped in our room today?" I said, "No." She said,
Oh,
"One of them
no.
shit on our bed." And I couldn't fucking believe it.
And you didn't have a genie to say, clean that shit up.
Yeah, I was up till about 5 in the morning, feeling sick, washing clothes, washing sheets and blankets and pillowcases. It was horrible.
It's unfortunate. It feels bad.
What a
man.
way to bring the mood down. Thanks
Yeah,
for that.
Wow.
Yeah.
I like it.
I was on cloud nine.
That was my way of making you feel good about the island. Go back to the island and pick your fucking games, Gary.
Right? You know where cats love to shit? Sand.
Yeah?
That fucking island's filled with cat shit.
You know, you're getting sent food as well. I mean, what is this? Is this food that's pre-made, or am I getting the ingredients and cooking them? How's
It's
this
just
happening?
coconut,
It's like-
man. It's coconuts.
You know what?
All the
It's
coconuts
like-
you could
it's-
possibly want. Hope you don't have an allergy. Adios.
It's like the Garden of Eden, where I
like all
can
the
just sort of
joys.
grab a
It's like-
pig and just bite into it, like as it
It's
walks
like
by.
the-
What is this?
It's like the duplicator on Star Trek. It's like when you it looks like a microwave, you
replicator?
open it up.
The
And the food
replicator?
that you-
Did you just call
Yeah.
the replicator
Yeah,
the duplicator?
Shut up, Briar. I know more about
Fuck out
fucking
of here.
Star Trek than you, okay?
You don't even know what the fucking
Seriously.
replicator is called.
You don't
Hey,
know
you
much
better
about
shut your
replicating,
mouth,
though,
PC.
do you?
No, I duplicated it. But
Are there,
it's like the replicator. You open it
Native
up. and there's
tribeswomen
food.
that haven't discovered the like advent of clothing yet that I can go and like frequent.
talk to.
You know, expand the repopulate the earth with them or whatever else.
We don't need any more Garys.
It'd be hard to repopulate the earth when you're
You're on an
on
island.
the tree, man.
Well, that's it. If I've got that as well, then I don't need games either. If I've got like, is this island exclusively populated by like sort of large-thighed ladies that can kind of wander the hillside, or how's this?
Oh, man, it's just you?
You're making this fucking amazing.
genie.
Gary.
I know this island's sounding fantastic.
But I shouldn't say that. My wife, she's watching us. There doesn't need to be any women there.
There doesn't. So there's no. Oh, man, this is such a sausage fest. This island. I would have made this question so much
Only
better.
one sausage on the fucking island.
Exactly, one too many. Jesus.
All right, your assignment, Gary, is to design a better island for next week's show.
Yeah.
No more hypothetical questions for Gary, man. He's just gonna analyze the shit out of it.
Yeah. You ruined it, Gary. It's
What day is
ruined.
the week? Is it a Wednesday? Is it a Friday?
Serious considerations. I mean, whenever someone tells me I'm on a desert island, there's a lot of questions that need to be answered before I consider why am I doing what you're telling me to do, man? You always question authority.
I always
He must
wonder
have
if
a
there's a
motive.
bunker on the
I
island,
want-
like if it's like an old Japanese bunker that you can like go in and explore, or if it's like like the one from Lost where it's got like the machine in it that you gotta like hit
Yes.
every 15 minutes or something,
The
Yeah.
black mist that comes through the woods. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all
Yeah.
there.
or is it like cartoons where it's like the island you could literally like take 10 steps across it and you're to the other side of the island, you know?
Yeah.
There's like one coconut fucking tree and that's it.
I'd want a big island like Lost so that I could go explore in between Chrono
Real-
Trigger endings.
Yeah.
Real quick, guys, before we leave, I wanted to go through a couple of the comments here on Twitch. Inner Black Ninja says his 3 games would be Destiny, The Last of Us, and Breath of the Wild. Great choices. Ash Ratcliffe said Doom. I'm presuming the new Doom.
That's a good single player choice.
It sure is. Soul Calibur 2, which I would beat you at, and Super Mario 64. Damn, that's a good.
Doom's a good choice because not only new Doom but old Doom. There's those WAD files. Where's all the data files? And people have revamped all the maps and stuff, and like new campaign modes.
That's the scary thing, though. You don't know if he wants the new Doom or the old with all the WAD files. Extreme Dan said
the new Doom has that like creator mode too, right?
Oh
yeah.
And that game is just fun. Like that game came out a long time ago now, and I just keep jumping into it every once in a while. It's just fun to play.
Do you ever play the multiplayer mode, Briar? You should try it. It's really fun.
I have like limited bandwidth for multiplayer modes, right? It's like when I start doing something, I try and get as good as I'm gonna get at it, you know. And like obviously there's a cap to that, but I like to try and like focus on like a multiplayer experience at one time. Whereas single player, I can kind of play the field a little more.
Gotcha. Extreme Dan's games were Destiny 2, Shadow of the Colossus, I Love You, and Final Fantasy 14.
Which version of Shadow Colossus? The remake, or the remake?
I would go for the one that's coming out now. That's got to be the best one. I can't read this. The Jagmaster X, his games were Fallout, Dark Souls, and Phantasy Star Online.
Dark Souls isn't bad because you figure that game will drive you insane, and then you'll hardly even realize you're on a desert island anymore.
Hermitage said Destiny, Witcher 3, and a version of Worms for old time's sake.
Witcher 3 is a good one.
These are all good choices.
Yeah, Witcher 3 is like a Fallout type of world where it's just got so much to explore and to see.
And Ash Radcliffe said, to clarify, he was talking about the new Doom. Thank you guys for your feedback in the comment section. We really appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah. If you'd like to give feedback for this show next week, hit us up on Gmail. What is the address, Gary?
RevolverGamesCast@gmail.com.
I was asking Gary.
Undermined.
It's RevolverGamesCast@gmail.com.
Perfect.
Hey, problem night.
We go live every Sunday at 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern at twitch.tv/Briar Rabbit. If you guys weren't able to see the live feed, check us out on YouTube at Briar Rabbit's YouTube channel, my YouTube channel, Beastly Gamer. And if you can't watch the video formats at all and you're at work or running the track, check us out in podcast form on Podbean, iTunes.
Did you just say running the track?
Yes.
Jesus,
if you're running away from nuclear bombs that are no doubt on their way here presently, or if you're running away from white supremacists in the South right now, you know, enjoy your run with a little bit of a podcast, you know?
Can we just, we don't want to be exclusionary in our audience. If you are part of the white supremacists as well, you can also listen to us, you know?
Yes.
Nah, don't listen to us. I don't even want them as an audience.
Okay. Fine.
Well, the black guy says you guys can listen. Just don't say mean things to the black guy.
Just don't leave any comments.
Disabling comments.
Either way, we don't support you, but we will take your views. So
yeah, support us.
Hit that like button on that iTunes thing, by the way.
Yeah, man. Leave comments.
Yeah.
And look,
Hellblade is what we're going for.
We didn't get a particular question of the week this week, but don't forget, you guys can ask questions. Just title it Question of the Week. Submit it at revolvergamescast@gmail.com if you like it to be considered for the following week.
I think the Desert Island one should be the question of the week.
I do too. I think that should be the question of the week. Leave us your feedback in Discord or the Gmail provided. Let us know if you were trapped on a desert island, what 3 games you'd want.
And in fact, I'd like to add to that question. If you get bored of the question as I did, can you change it to what would be your best desert island? Because I want to hear that. I want to know which islands I can go and visit.
That's a good question.
Gilligan's Island is the only choice.
All right, real quick. I mean, I've always had a crush on what was her name? The farm girl?
Marianne,
yeah.
How'd you forget her? I didn't forget Marianne's name.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
Or
and
Ginger.
she'll remember that. You know, she remembers.
So
She doesn't care. She's always had an affinity for you anyway.
I've got a request of all our viewers, actually. It's more of a gift. It's kind of an exchange of services.
Uh-huh.
If you could find it in your heart to hit the like button and the comment on anything that you find, be that YouTube, Podbean, iTunes, any of them, even if you don't, just like it and comment. Be great. If you do that for us, then I will personally give you permission to think about me when you're all alone tonight in your bunk.
Oh,
You
shit.
have permission.
You
I'm gonna
guys
hit 'em
know
up for that.
everyone's going to hit the like button now. Thank you
I'm
so
gonna-
much, Gary. Does that include me? Because I'm going to actually like my own video.
We're never
Fucking
going to have
better
more
commissioning.
dislikes on this video than we do.
Should we tell everyone where can everyone find you guys? Beasley, did you already do that part?
You can find me on YouTube at youtube.com/BeastlyGamer. And yeah, I'm making videos and enjoying my time here streaming. I actually did a test stream. It didn't go too well last week, but I'm thinking that my next stream will go a lot better. I got a few more things figured out now.
Yeah, we can work on that with you too.
My man.
Gary?
You can find me on the island jerking it to seagulls fucking. That's pretty
Behind
much
the
where I'm
tree.
going to be.
Behind the
Or you
tree.
can find me on Twitter at Gary Diaz _ Gary Diaz.
Then we find out if there's a
_
Reddit for
BC.
that.
How do you even follow that? How do I even follow that?
r/seagulls fucking.
There's two. There's seagulls fucking US and UK, depending on what your variety is. But I'm subscribed to both. I'm not fussy.
That Rule 34, if you think it exists, it exists.
Rule 34, man.
Yeah.
There's a community for it.
Wilson?
You can find me on Twitter at Ryu Wilson. That's RYU Wilson. You can find me on Twitch. We've been starting up some more Twitch streams this week. I've actually been doing a good job of streaming like every other day. So you can find me there, Wilson309. What about you, Briar? Where can they find you?
I wanted to mention that I have been watching your streams lately, and you started Warframe, and I've been really interested in watching Warframe. I was silently lurking because it was late last night, but it was a good stream. I was enjoying learning about that game while you were playing it.
I still felt your presence.
Like a judgmental father in the wings. That was it.
I'm Briar Rabbit. You can find me on the Briar Rabbit channel on YouTube. You can find me streaming 1 p.m. Eastern during the weekdays. I'll generally be on Twitch streaming, or you can find us, fucking anywhere. Just look up
Fucking
Briar Rabbit.
anywhere.
Just type Revolver Live into anything and you'll find us and the skits that we do. We've actually been doing a lot more comedy skits. And if you follow the Revolver Live Twitch channel, maybe not this week because I'm still setting it up, but I'll be doing some Revolver Live broadcasts throughout the week, so you can come and join me through the fantastical world of PC gaming. I'll be doing some variety streaming there. And housekeeping note, if you've listened this long, it means you care and you love us. You'll have to love this motley trio for the next 2 weeks because I'm actually coming to get nuked with the rest of you in the US. I'm going to be in Florida for 2 weeks.
But Wilson has promised to do the next 2 shows with a British accent, so we're good there.
Oi, governor.
Oh my god, you nailed it. Sound just like him.
Cheerio, mate.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.
Oh my god.